All right. Here with Coach Randy McFarlin, coming off a big 56-24 win over Lindale, and it wasn't even that close, Coach. Talk a little bit about your team's performance in the win.
Well, once again, we had our group came out and played good football against kind of an inferior opponent. That's what you want to see. Is you don't want your level to tail off. You want to play at your high level, and we did that. Put lots of points up on the board. Played very good defense, and everyone got to play and contribute, which makes it a good evening.
Pat Mahomes with 5 touchdown passes. I think he's got like 19 now, so he's having a heck of a year.
Now, percentage of completion rate for Patrick Friday was excellent, 80-something percent. Both quarterbacks had a very high completion rate, but once again, just connecting with the receivers, running the ball when he has to. And I felt like during the open week, we got better. Boy, just the workout just went snappy, and we were hitting the routes and completing a lot of passes. So I think I see a lot of improvement on our offensive side of the football.
One of the things that I was so impressed with, because we can think back to early in the year when the pass rush would get to Mahomes and he would throw deep and throw it up for grabs, and he's not doing that now. And the touchdown pass that he threw to Jalen Dews, where he rolled to his right and looked like he was going to take off and run, and the corner bit on that, and he pulls up and throws a strike. That was beautiful to watch.
It was a great play, and you're right. The pass rush, a time or two on Friday, I saw Patrick step up into the pocket and deliver the ball, which I think, like I say, a couple of weeks ago he would have taken off. We've added the sprint out to our repertoire there, and Patrick does a great job on rolling to the right or left and throwing the football.
Yeah. And as far as your defense was concerned, I mean, you really weren't challenged much, and Lindale was going to run the ball quite a bit. But you guys, with 3 turnovers, with the 3 interceptions again, so you're forcing turnovers and getting the ball back.
Right. I think we caught more passes than they did. Have to brag on little number 2, Nate Brooks. He made an incredible play on the ball right before the half, and he's a kid that had one of the picks early, I believe, and was involved in another one where he was a cover 2 corner, and they were throwing right into the coverage and tipped the ball up, and another kid caught it. But except for the second play of the game where they popped a trap on us, defense played excellent the rest of the ball game.
What happened on that play?
Oh, we'd worked the trap all week. A trap is a little influence, misdirection, play inside on your tackles. And if they run upfield any at all, they pop it, and they just hit it quick, and their safeties are out of position. And once we went to that young man and said, look, you got to squeeze it down. He did it the rest of the night and did a great job. He needed to see that to learn, hey, there's the trap play.
That's the only negative thing happened all night, I guess, on defense.
Right, I say negative, but I think it was a learning experience for us up front, so very pleased with it.
When you get into a ball game like that and it's literally over at halftime, how difficult is it to determine what you're going to do from a coaching standpoint, whether you're going to keep the pedal on or whether you pull off and say, okay, I'm not going to run our game plan anymore?
Well, I've been in enough of those games that always, no matter what the score is, we come back the second half with our starters. Mm-hmm. And it's our goal then to take the second half kickoff and go score. And then if that happens, at that point we start subbing in. You never want to sub too early. I've seen that happen, and teams come back on you, and you never know. I mean, it's always a kind of a frightening position to be in. But then this past week, even when we go back with Ryan as a quarterback after that series, we left the starting receivers in just to give him work with that group before we made changes.
First time in the school's history, I understand, that White House is 6-0. What does that mean to you?
Well, it's a great feeling to started out like 10 weeks ago, and that's been one of our goals. And here we are 10 weeks later. And tribute to the kids, the coaches, as everyone's working, doing a great job, and very fortunate to win.
All right, we're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we'll talk about tonight's ball game against the Jacksonville Fighting Indians. This is the Coach Randy McFarlin Show on 99.3 Talk FM. Back here with Coach Randy McFarlin. You meet the Jacksonville Fighting Indians tonight. They're 3-3, but in the losses, they were without their quarterback, the McFarlin kid who was hurt in the first game against Carthage. And it seems like he's come back now, and they seem to be clicking again.
Right. McFarlin's very valuable to them in the passing game. Of course, what it allows the number one, D.D. Franklin, to go back to receiver, and he's an excellent receiver. So with McFarlin out, they lose a quarterback plus a receiver. So him being back has made them a much more threatening offensive football team.
Chris Tabor's the new head football coach there. He used to be the coach, assistant coach over at Chapel Hill. They won a state championship. But tell us what he brings to the Indians.
Well, they won a state championship at Chapel Hill with Chris there, and does a tremendous job with the offensive team. And we expect some of the same things we used to get from Chapel Hill in the past. So we kind of go back to what Chapel Hill used to do and kind of look at that game plan against Chapel Hill even this year. But Jacksonville is Jacksonville. They're very athletic, and it's always been a battle with White House the last 4 years. I think it's come down to the last play of the game. So I don't expect anything different tonight. They're a good football team. They've lost some in that interim where McFarlin was out, but it's a second district ball game.
When they're all together healthy and playing, they knocked off a good Carthage team that you guys beat. Is that more the team that we should expect to see, that team that beat Carthage?
We went back and evaluating the tapes, really looked back at that Carthage ball game because that was the last time they had everyone there. They had them back in Nacogdoches last Friday night. So you kind of use those two games as a measuring stick. They played well against Carthage. Carthage turned the ball over several times, and that's the critical point. If you turn the ball over, Jacksonville's a good enough team to beat you.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as your team matching up, your offense against their defense, talk a little bit about that.
What Jacksonville poses a problem for us is the good athletes match up with our kids very well. It's a great matchup, their skill versus our skill. They can match us there, I think. I think up front, I think our offensive line is stronger. I think our defensive line is stronger. But as far as skill goes, it's equal.
And you don't see that very often with the teams you've played this year. I mean, it's very seldom you see guys that are as athletic as your guys are in the skill position.
That's it. Everyone we've played, maybe Sulphur Springs was close, but we have an advantage in the skill positions. Another advantage we have is we don't have many that go both ways. Mm-hmm. And Jacksonville does. A couple of their good athletes go both ways. So up-tempo offense versus their defense, maybe they get a little tired on defense, and a couple of those kids are critical to them on the offensive side. So that matchup helps us big time.
You mentioned how close these ball games have been, and I've called a lot of those ball games over the last 8 or 9 years. What is it about White House versus Jacksonville that seems to have a little bit more edge to it than a lot of the games that you play in district?
Proximity. The kids know each other, and for years, Jacksonville whipped up on White House, and folks in Jacksonville just can't stand that. White House is not supposed to beat Jacksonville. That's in their mindset from years and years and years. And that's what makes it so tough a ball game, because those kids come in there with the expectation of that community, hey, White House is not supposed to play with us, and that's what makes it like it is.
When you first came to White House, did you use the games with Jacksonville as kind of a measuring stick as to where your program was?
Oh, definitely. Coach Copeland over there, in fact, I even told him they were good my first year here, and I said, Coach, give me a couple of years, and we'll be able to play with you. Excuse me. And then it was that third year at our place that we beat them pretty soundly that night. And
I recall that because they were 4-0 coming in, and they had been winning some ball games, running it down people's throats. And I think you sent them into a shock that it took them a couple of years to get over.
That was a shocker night. And I remember visiting with Coach Copeland. He said, what happened? I said, Coach, you remember last year at your place, we were going in for the game-winning score, and we fumbled the football. And I said, it's the same kids I've got back this year. But that was the turning point for our program also, to make a statement like that night versus Jacksonville.
All right, so keys to victory tonight.
Win the turnover game. Not commit the turnovers. Keep the ball moving, first downs on offense, and slow their skilled kids down. I don't think we can stop them, prevent the big play, make them have to work to get the score.
Well, best of luck to you tonight, Coach.
Thank you much.
Yes, sir. Coach Randy McFarlin getting ready for the White House-Jacksonville game on 99.3 Talk FM.